Hi guys, my name is Elizabeth Stefania. Welcome back to my subscribers. And if you are new here, hi. In this channel, right? On this channel, we encourage each other. We empower people, right? I will serve as your guide. My job here is to empower you to become a better you and to gain back your strength, your confidence. So please subscribe, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It would really be appreciated. So yes, today is our first day, day one, with doing our book study. The book is called The Body Keeps the Score. We're going to go through this book very carefully. Um, So far, I am on part one, chapter one. Every part has many chapters in it, and every chapters um, have like different parts that is highlighted. So today we are going over part one, chapter one. All right. So the author, when we first started, introduced us to an individual called Tom. But before I get to that, I really enjoyed the excerpt that he uses in the beginning of the chapter, and I really liked it. This is what he wrote. I became what I am today at the age of 12 on a frigid, overcast day in the winter of 1975. That was a long time ago, but it's wrong what they say about the past. Looking back now, I realize I have been peeking into that deserted alley for the last 26 years. The Kite Runner. So this expert, this little part was taken from this book called The Kite Runner. And The Kite Runner is written by Khaled Hosseini. I probably butchered his last name, but I've actually read The Kite Runner. It is a really good book. I um, did a little video talking about how I felt about the book because the truth is I've tried to record this video before, as a matter of fact, so many times, but it just did not go well. I don't know why. And so in one of my attempts to record it, I was telling you guys about the Kite Runner, how I felt about it. So I'm going to upload that video sometime this week so you guys can see my reaction to the book, how I really felt about it. But I agree, some things don't leave you. They have such impact in your life. Their impact is so great in your life that it shapes who you are, how you see the world, right? It could be good and it could be bad, right? Something could happen to you that it bless your life, right? That it changes your life in so many ways, right? You meet this person and the way they poured into you, the way they treated you, make you see the world in a different way, and that, their kindness, their generosity change your life, change your life. And another way, you could meet somebody and they fuck you over, right? And the way they treat you makes you see everything negative, turns you into a pessimistic person. Um, that just ruined you, right? In a way. And it takes years and years and years and years and years of working with yourself to come out of that. But even after you heal, you're just not the same person, right? So this could be a positive thing, and also it could be a negative thing where something happened to you, right? You won the lottery. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, woo, all your financial problems are, they're no more. Um, and it's a great thing that happened to you. Perfect thing that happened to you, right? Or you could get hit by a train and then boom, you're paralyzed. Like, and it's not just like, being physically impaired. It's just that certain actions, I think you get in my drift, right? Certain things that happen to you just never leave you, changes you. And yeah, I know that for a lot of people when they win the lottery, within 5 years, their life is worse than it was before the lottery. But We like to think that if we win the lottery, our financial problems are going to go away and our life is going to be so good. Um, it works out for some people, but doesn't work out for most. Anyways, there's another eh, excerpt. Some people lives seem to flow in a narrative. Mine had many stops and starts. That's what trauma does. It interrupts the plot. It just happens, then life goes on. No one prepares you for it. A memoir of terror. So the book is called Denied, A Memoir of Terror by Jessica Stern. I haven't read that one before, and it seems like she went through a lot and a lot. So that is what we first encounter when we get to chapter one. So in chapter one, the author introduces us to this gentleman named Tom. Tom is very bright. He graduated as valedictorian of his class. He graduated as the top, at the top of his class, right? He followed the tradition of the men in his family. He went to the military, I believe the Marines, if I'm not mistaken. He was doing well there. He became a platoon leader, right? I think he was in charge of 8 men. He met this guy named Alex that was in his platoon. Um, they became very, very best friends. Then one day, I believe they were walking in a rice field or something, right? Him and his men, Tom and his men, and then they got ambushed by the enemy, and all of them died. The only survivor is Tom. So that's traumatizing, right? So what Tom decided to do, instead of taking that loss, he decided to become a terror himself, right? He did not go back to the enemy's camp and take revenge. What he did, he went to um, a nearby neighborhood, killed people, um, raped this woman, and violently raped her, and committed atrocities, right? Committed like brutal crimes, and in his head, like he was gonna be fine, right? So after he did what he did, he maybe he felt good at the moment. Went back, life is okay, got discharged, honorable discharge, then started living life, right? He had, I think, 2 sons. He had a wife that um, his high school sweetheart, like he became a lawyer. He used the GI Bill to like help him pay for college, became a lawyer. So he's not even coming, you know, he's not coming out of school with debt, like he's debt free, he's doing his thing, marriage, lawyer, 2 kids, cool. But guess what? As we all know, those of us with traumas anyway knows that trauma doesn't leave you alone. It will poke its ugly head. It won't leave you be. You gotta do the work. So he was going through a lot, right? And his sons wasn't letting him live, right? Um, the trauma he suffered um, when the enemy ambushed him wasn't letting him live. So he was very agitated whenever, with him, his trauma, um, the way it showed up is through violence. He became very violent, right? Around his family. He cannot, like during the 4th of July celebration, he cannot, he can't be there. He can't be around that because all the noise reminds him, right, of what happened that day at that field when he was in Bush, right? And when he look at his sons too, he remembers the kids that he murdered. Um, the book didn't say that, but I'm gonna speculate that when he's having sex with his wife, he probably remembers the face of the woman he was raping, right? So this man, he just cannot move on. The past is not letting him move on at all. And then he came to our author to get some help. And so um, Tom is the first patient. He actually uses some of the method that he's talking to us about, right? It was his first patient that he used some of this tried. Actually, he said that treating them actually taught him what he knows now. So the first part of chapter one is trauma and the loss of self, right? People who are traumatized, it is hard for them to confront the shame of what happened. So I'm looking down because I have a notebook and I took some notes, okay? So he said, traumatized people, it's hard for them to confront their shame about the way they behave during the traumatic event. Um, they despise themselves for how terrified, de- dependent, excited, or enraged they felt. So people who are traumatized, right? If you went through a trauma, a lot of the time you start to hate yourself for what happened. Like you hate the fact that you were so weak, you know, you hate the fact that you were terrified and stuff like that. You like a lot of anger, you know, that's there, and also a lot of shame, right? You feel a lot of shame. I feel like a lot of people that went through sexual abuse feels a lot of shame, but I'm here to tell you there's no need for you to feel ashamed, right? You were in a place where you were vulnerable. Someone took advantage of you, overpowered you. It's okay, right? And this is why we are going through this book to help you, to help me, right? For us to move past our trauma, right? So when you experience trauma, you tend to lose yourself because of all the shame, right? Of all the shame. A girl who used to dress very sexy, or a girl who used to like tight fitted clothes, if she gets raped, then all of a sudden she's wearing all these loose clothes, like all these baggy clothes, right? But then is that her? Is that how she likes to dress? Is that how she wants to present herself? No, right? And maybe a boy too who've been raped, because that happens to boys as well. Men have been raped as well. And I think one thing we need to normalize, and if you're a guy right now and you're watching this video, I'm encouraging you to no longer hide or feel ashamed. If you were raped or you were sexually abused, it is time for you to look for help, right? You looking for help is actually a sign of strength, right? You're not weak because it happens to you. Listen, it happens to the best of us, right? This life, like people usually say, is a motherfucker, right? Things happen. It happens, and then we got to deal with it, right? So don't feel bad. Don't feel like you were weak and all these shameful thoughts, right? That comes into your head to try to keep you down, to emasculate you, to make you feel like you're nothing. Oh, it happened to me. I'm a man. This should have not happened. No, okay? It happens to people you would not even think it happened to, because men have a tendency to not share. Right now, I am encouraging you and actually calling out to you to share your experiences, right? Because you need to speak it. It is time for you to no longer protect your your abuser. It's time for you to speak. Go to a counselor, seek a therapist, right? And start talking. Get it out of there. Don't hold that. It's too, when you hold it inside, it feels like it's such a, it feels bigger than what it is, right? It feels so much bigger. But when you speak it and you release it, it's scary, yeah. But you start seeing it for what it is. So a lot of people who experience trauma, and sexual trauma, domestic violence, and gun violence, and every other traumatic thing that is out there that I don't know of, right? Because I cannot list every single traumatic thing that can happen to someone. I don't know them. But what I'm saying is that it's so easy for you to lose yourself. And that's it. That was like the first part of chapter one, right? Was the author showing us that it's easy to lose yourself behind shame, behind anger, you know, you hating yourself, you not liking what you see in the mirror anymore. It's so easy when someone experiences trauma. All right, so the second part is numbing. I actually also I'm gonna be reading some parts in the book for you because I underlined it. Uh, you know, I took my time to do this. Okay, I'm good. I want to bring some quality things. I don't know if you can see them right here. I underlined some things. All right, so I underlined some things. I am here to do this with you and to do it at the best of my ability. Okay, I am here. All right, so numbing. First point is that people who've experienced trauma often lose themselves behind shame, anger, and they usually don't like themselves because of what happened. They start hating themselves, right? Um, Second thing is numbing. Not being able to connect to anyone. It's hard for them to connect to anyone, even themselves. So, not being able to connect to anyone, even yourself, being on autopilot and feeling like you are observing someone in your body living your life, being so numb that sometimes all you want is to feel again. You just want to feel something. And that is why some people engage in reckless behavior so that they can feel something. Some people go through like their trauma, that the event that traumatized them was big and it was horrible, right? And they become numb. And I think that's like a way of protecting themselves because like feeling the pain is what's the opposite of numbing? Feeling. And then feeling what? The pain of what happened. So in a way, being numb kind of protects you from that pain, but you can't go through life like that. You can't. So um it's hard for you to connect with someone. It's hard. How can you connect with them emotionally? You cannot. Even yourself. And in the story, for well, I say in the story, but in the book, it was really hard for Tom to connect to his family. He felt numb, and he was running away too from what happened in that field and from his action as well. And he was looking at his kids and his wife. He was remembering every single thing that happened. He he couldn't feel. He couldn't connect. All right, so let's do some reading. All right. I'm gonna take it from there. I'm on page 14, by the way, if you have the book in front of you. I am over here, numbing, third sentence. That numbness extended to himself as well. He could not really feel anything except for his momentary rage and his shame. He described how he hardly recognized himself when he looked in the mirror to shave. When he heard himself arguing a case in court, he would observe himself from a distance and wonder how this guy, who happened to look and talk like him, was able to make such good arguments. He didn't feel like his life was his, right? He was numb to himself. He couldn't connect with his wife. He's just numb. And even let's go like to that first sentence under numbing. Maybe the worst of Tom's symptoms was that he felt emotionally numb. He desperately wanted to love his family, but he just couldn't evoke any deep feelings for them. He felt emotionally distant from everybody, as though his heart were frozen and he were living behind a glass wall. That numbness extended to himself as well. He could not really feel anything except for his momentary rage and shame. He couldn't connect with his family. He wanted to show them love. He just couldn't. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we gotta deal with our trauma. Because if we don't, it takes over. I think numbness is is common because when you try not to feel the hurt, the pain, the shame and everything else that comes with that traumatic event, you become numb as a way to protect yourself. But guess what? that numbness extend to things that you don't want it to extend to. And for Tom, he couldn't love his family. He couldn't love himself. He couldn't connect with anyone. That's not good, right? So, um, I am going to the end of the page. I don't know if you're following along with me. Again, I'm on page 14, last paragraph. I am on the second sentence of the last paragraph. That spring, he took out his Harley and rode up the Kinga-Magus Highway in New Hampshire. The vibrations, speed, and danger of that ride helped him pull himself back together to the point that he was able to leave his motel room and return to his family. So, good thing about Tom was that he was aware of um, of his situation. He wasn't beating on his wife, beating on his kids. You know what I mean? He wasn't doing that. He knew that his rage had nothing to do with them. And it was because of what happened to him and what he did. And so, to protect them, he would sometime, go check himself in a motel because he knew if I stay here, I'm gonna beat this woman. You know what I mean? I'm gonna mess these kids up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get myself up into a motel. I'm gonna get myself some distance from them, right? And probably his wife knew where he was. Hopefully he didn't just disappear. Poor woman. He didn't just disappear and she's like, oh my God, where are you? Hopefully he told her where he was so that she didn't worry, but and allowed him that space. But he would engage and reckless behavior, driving really fast. Not only endangers himself, but also endangers people who are on the freaking highway, right? People who just want to get home to their wife, people who just want to get home to their husband, their kids, I don't know, their friends, whoever, or just want to get home to their cat, to their dogs. Just want to like get home. Him driving so reckless is endangering everyone. But from what I'm reading, it seems I'm gonna assume he do it at night, but he engages in that type of behavior. But for the people, him is driving really fast in the highway at night when there's no traffic. But for some people, it's gambling. For some people, it's drugs. For some people, it's being promiscuous and sleeping with every single thing with a skirt or with a pants on. If for some people, it's overeating, right? Eating the life away, and for some people it maybe it's not eating. There's so many other ways that people try to get that feeling back, because they want to feel. I want to feel again, man. What the fuck? Let me feel. I want to feel. But damn, like you want to feel, mama. You want to feel, papa. That pain is coming back. You know, and you gotta deal with it. So it's hard. It's hard. Um, But after he drove like crazy, he felt okay enough to go back home. But imagine what his kids are going through, his wife is going through, marrying to someone like that. It's not fun, right? Because when we are with people, when we are in a relationship and we're not dealing with our trauma, because remember, that trauma is gonna poke its head out, whether you want it to or not, right? It's going to manifest. And gonna affect more than you, your wife, girlfriend, husband, children, especially for the kids, man, especially for the kids. All right. So the next part was after numbing, it was the reorganization of perception. All right. Let me read my notes. So trauma, it messes with your perception of reality. Oops. Sorry. Trauma messes with your perception of reality, and everything around you connect somehow to the trauma. To some people, a man walking down the street is just walking, but to rape victims is someone who's about to molest her, to rape her. To maybe a domestic violence victim is someone that's gonna beat her up, right? So I think that is very important. Perception, right? Perception your perception is your reality, right? Because how you perceive things is how it is. Someone can say, "Hi, big head," and you might perceive it to be, "Oh, it's friendly, they're joking around," or you might be like, "Who the f this person think there is? You calling me big head?" I think perception is very important, right? And that is why sometimes you're like, "Oh, I don't know why this person took what I said so personal. I was just joking around," or like, you know, or I don't know, there was no reason for them to take it that personal, or there was no reason for them to behave like they behave. But guess what? There was a reason for them to behave like that in their head, right? Um, to you, or maybe to like other people, you were being friendly, you were joking around, or it was just like, I don't know, a blank statement. But to them, because of what they went through, because of their trauma, it was a threat, right? It was a jab. It was anything but something friendly and innocent. Because trauma changes, it messes up with your perception. All right, we're going back to the book. If you are with me, we are on page 17. Page 17, the last paragraph before stuck in trauma. All right, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, we are gonna be here. All right, guys. My nails are not done, guys. All right, I'll come to you guys at a later date with maybe my nails done. But right now, it is what it is. I'm like, dang. When I pointed to it to the text, I'm like, geez, wish I had my nails done. It would have looked cuter, but it is what it is. All right. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna start with traumatized people look at the world in a fundamentally different way from other people. For most of us, a man coming down the street is just someone taking a walk. A rape victim, however, may see a person who is about to molest her and go into a panic. A stern school teacher may be an intimidating presence to an average kid, but for a child whose stepfather beats him up, she may represent a torturer and precipitate a rage attack or a terrified cowering in the corner. So then people who are in the room or people who are around, they're like, yo, what is wrong with this chick? What is wrong with this kid? What's going on? What's wrong with this man? Why did he act like that? Yo, she didn't do nothing to you, and you went and you reacted like this. But they don't know that in your head, what took place in your head is something totally different, because trauma messes with your perception. It messes with it, right? Somebody walking down the street could be with a hood on, could just be like, oh, a person walking down the street with a hood on it. Maybe the guy hair, he hasn't gotten a haircut in so long and he's feeling a little insecure. So he's walking with his hood on and he's on his way to the barber shop. But for you, you've gotten robbed before. You, someone who had a hood on, robbed you at gunpoint, beat you up. So now you see this man walking down the street and walking towards you. You are scared. You know, your brain is like, run, it's gonna happen. He's gonna attack you. Oh my God, oh my God. Like, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of self-control for you to walk past this man and not react. You know what I mean? And not go into a panic mode. He's innocent. He's not even thinking about you. He's just trying to make it to his hair appointment. But for you, damn, this man's about to rob you. but to rob you and beat you senseless. That is what he's about to do. So, trauma messes with your perception. Okay, we're moving on to the next part. It's stuck in trauma. And just like reading these already, you see like so much things you gotta work on. Like, damn, loss of self, from the first point, like traumatized people loses the they loses themselves. Oh, you become numb, and now it messes with your perception. Like, how many things do you need to work on, and to get to the other side of this thing? It's a lot, but it's worth it, and we're gonna do it together. Okay. All right. The next point was stuck in trauma. I'm gonna read my note. Okay. People, traumatized people, um most of them, they cannot move on. They're always recalling the past and cannot see the present for what it is. It's like you cannot see that what happened is over. You know, you're not 10 no more, you're not 12 no more, 15 no more. Your dad is not about to beat you up anymore. He's not gonna come yell at your mother and start beating her senseless. Your mom is not about to, I don't know, beat you up anymore, right? She cannot abuse you no more. You're not 12 or 13 anymore, right? You don't even live in the same roof as her anymore. You are safe. What happened is the past. You are safe. You're not in that situation no more. But for a lot of people who've been through trauma, it is not the case. They're constantly that 12 years old living in that house, getting molested again and again. They are getting beat up again and again. They are experiencing their mother getting beat up, right? They are getting robbed again. They are, I don't know, during that traumatic accident again. They are in Afghanistan again. You know what I mean? And they are getting ambushed again. So it's not like, oh, this happened in 1995. No, it's happening right now, right? We are in that 1995 never leaves. 1995 never becomes 1996, 1997, and the past is staying in the past and we're moving on. No, it's still that time, still that time frame. They're stuck. They're stuck. It's time to move on, right? It's not happening to you. It's not happening to you anymore. Listen, look at me. I am sorry that this terrible thing happened to you. It happened in the past. Right now, you are safe. You're safe now. It's all right. No one's gonna sneak into your bedroom and touch you. No one's beating up on you. No one is dragging your mother across the wall. No one is robbing you. You're not in Afghanistan. You're not in the car accident anymore. It happened some time ago. You are safe now. It is time for us to heal and to move on. It happened in the past. I know it's hard, super hard. But guess what? It's in the past. Today is today. Let's see the present. Today's different. It was yesterday. Today's today. The next part of the book is diagnosing post-traumatic stress. Um, the author worked, he used to work with veterans, and in these days there was no such thing, right? But through some of you know through with time and research, they started accepting this new diagnosis, and then so they started embracing it. I think he left actually, and started working for a different organization. He stopped working with veterans and started working with different at a different place. um, but that was a part of the book. um, Post-traumatic stress is the memory of the trauma, and it never go away, and you relieve it often, right? Through dreams and other triggers. So maybe the person who was robbing you was wearing a certain cologne, right? So whenever somebody passes by you with that same cologne on, it triggers that memory, right? Or your mother was making, I don't know, spaghetti or something. When your dad walked in a rage, pulled her hair, started beating on her, almost killed her, or maybe even did kill her. I don't know. Every time you say spaghetti, triggered you. You know what I mean? Or there was a car accident. You were in this car accident. You guys were laughing and talking. Maybe you guys were drinking milkshake. You know, you just came from Sonic. Hey, you know, getting a milkshake on. You're just like, you know, having a good time. And that accident happened. Every time you see a milkshake, strawberry, or whatever, that reminded you of that time, you relive it again. Triggers you. You know what someone said? Actually, I kind of liked it. It says, I was listening to this podcast and the man said, let's trigger to it. That meaning that what I'm gonna say is gonna trigger you, but let's trigger through it. We're gonna work through the triggers. We're gonna work through the triggers. So yeah, that is why traumatic stress, post-traumatic stress is. It's that the memory of the trauma. You just relive it again and 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 again. Now, this is gonna be a long video. Sorry guys, it's gonna be a long video. If I'm gonna do this right, I can't do it in 10 minutes. Can I do it in 20 minutes? Oof, there's a big part that I'm about to read to you, okay? So now the last part of chapter 1 is a new understanding. All right. Page 21. I am under a new understanding. I'm gonna start you know what? I'm gonna read the whole thing. It's 3 paragraphs. Why not? It says, in the 3 decades since I met Tom, we have learned an enormous amount, not only about the impact and manifestation of trauma. One thing we know for sure is that trauma will manifest. You need to deal with it. If you don't, it will manifest in the worst ways possible. It will poke out its ugly head when you don't want it to. We must deal with it. We gotta face our demons, right? Okay, in the 3 decades since I met Tom, we have learned an enormous amount, not only about the impact and manifestations of trauma, but also about ways to help traumatic people find their way back. Since the early 1900s, imaging tools have started to show us what actually happens inside the brain of traumatized people. This has proven essential to understanding the damage inflicted by trauma and has guided us to formulate entire new avenues of repairs. Okay. um, we also begun to understand how overwhelming experiences affect our innermost sensations and our relationship to our physical reality, the core of who we are. We have learned that trauma is not just an event that took place sometime in the past. It is also the imprint left by that experience on mind, brain, and body. This imprint has ongoing consequences for how the human organism manages to survive in the past. Trauma results in a fundamental reorganization of the way mind and brain manage perceptions. It changes not only how we think and what we think about, but also our very capacity to think. We have discovered that helping victims of trauma find the words to describe what has happened to them is profoundly meaningful, but usually it is not enough. The act of telling the story doesn't necessarily alter the automatic physical and hormonal responses of bodies that remain hypervigilant, prepared to be assaulted or violated at any time. For real change to take place, the body needs to learn that the danger has passed and to live in the reality of the present. Our search to understand trauma has led us to think differently, not only about the structure of the mind, but also about the process by which it heals. So, through it all and through his work with Tom, um, Daragani is saying that he has gained some understanding of trauma and that it affects us. Um, it leaves an imprint, right? Mind and body. It impacts the way you think or even your ability to think. And what we need to do and what we need to have to teach the body and have the body learn is that the danger has passed and for it to live in the reality of the present. And that, my friend, is very hard. It's very, very, very hard. And I think overall, though, if you know, through all the things that he spoke about in the beginning, it all came down to this, right? That the body need to realize that, you know what, time has passed and you know what I mean? Let's live in the present. The danger has passed because, you know, living in shame and hating yourself, not being able to connect, numbing, being numb, um, your perception being screwed up and thinking that somebody's always gonna attack you, people always out there to get you, you know, being stuck in the trauma and not being able to move on and always reliving it, you know, with the post-traumatic stress and all. It's still the body holding on to it. It's the imprint of what happened, right? The body holds on to it. But it's now time for us to breathe again, to release it, for our body to release it, for our body to know that the danger has passed. It is okay, we are safe, and that we're in a different time, a different era. And it is okay to live again, to relax again, to breathe again, to smile again, to dress sexy again, to look pretty again, to be strong again, right? To be handsome again, to smell good again, to be athletic again, you know, to be able to drive your car and be okay again, to be soft again, you know, to be strong again. Whatever that trauma took away from you, whatever it robbed you of, we can become that. And I think, you know, usually we never think what happens to the persons that did such atrocities, right? We never think like how it affects them. I think the story with was very like for me it was very insightful because what he did affected him, right? Um, it messed with him. And so my advice would be for any man or any woman, before you do some fucked up shit, right? Before you do something nasty, before you commit atrocities, think. It's gonna come back to haunt you in the butt. It's gonna come back to haunt you. Not just that the police gonna come and put you in jail, etc., but that very act is gonna come and haunt you. And is that person really worth it, my dude? Is it really worth it, girl? For you to go and do that atrocity, commit those atrocities? Is this person worth it because it's coming back to haunt you? Yeah, they get hurt, but it's gonna come back to haunt you. I don't think that's worth it. So you're causing yourself trauma. Is that worth it? I don't think so. Um, so we are gonna continue reading this book and going over it. It's gonna take us some time. As you can see, I'm only on chapter one, part one. Part one has three chapters, and I am only in chapter one, and it's already 44 minutes. But please bear with me. Leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up, please. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe, okay? Please subscribe. I'm trying to get my itch together. I'm trying to come here and bring you content, quality content, things that's gonna really help us, help you, help me, because we are in this together. Um, please read the book if you have it. If you don't have it, I'm pretty sure if you YouTube it, there'll be an audio version of it. Um, Next video would be on part one, chapter two. I don't think I'll be able to do chapter three, or because it might be the video might be way too long for that. But we will do, yeah, way too long, way too long. So we'll do every video will be probably like a part, right? So we have two more videos to conclude chapter one. All right, guys. So next video will be on this. I might also make another video about something else, but every video that is about this book will be titled appropriately so you will know. Okay. Yeah, let's get through this journey together, read this book together, and become better person. All right. Let's work through our trauma and come out victorious. So, as you know, I always do this. I love, I love you, and God loves you, and you shall death love you. Please, please, pretty please subscribe, give me a thumbs up. I will see you again soon with another chapter. Bye for now.